Point 1. Genius means being true to ourselves. In the 1930s, a British girl named Gillian was restless. As hyperactivity made it challenging for her to concentrate on studying, teachers labeled her the problem child. However hard her mother tried to help her, all attempts were in vain, so she took Gillian to a medical center. The doctor observed the girl for a while, then turned on the music and asked the mother to leave the room with him. Through the glass door, they watched how Gillian started to move in rhythm. "See, she isn't a problem child," the doctor explained to the girl's mother, "but a natural dancer." He advised attending dance classes, which dramatically changed the girl's life. Gillian Lynn became a famous ballerina and choreographed Cats and Phantom of the Opera on Broadway. Every individual's unique perspective is a puzzle piece, crucial to the grand tapestry of humanity's understanding of the world. Gillian was fortunate to have parents who genuinely cared for her and to encounter a doctor who personalized his approach to each patient rather than resorting to prejudiced labeling. Unfortunately, though, not all of us have been lucky enough to meet someone who guided us in the correct direction. Instead, others often encourage us to oppress our peculiarities and pick up commonly held beliefs to fit in to society. The more we do it, the further from our true selves we become. Continuing in the same direction, we risk forgetting who we are and voluntarily giving up our unique combination of interests, beliefs, and ideas, our genius. It might get lost forever as our unique perspectives are irreplaceable. No one before us has the same perspectives, and no one will in the future. Luckily, we can always unlock our geniuses. The keys are already in our pockets, and in the next few minutes, we'll learn how to use them and act on our true aspirations. Key point 2. Living beyond labels is a gateway to our gifts. As we are social creatures, belonging is our natural need. Thus, what's wrong if we adjust ourselves to meet the group's expectations? Indeed, it's a safer path with many benefits, but it also has serious pitfalls, as the story of Ozan Varol shows. We can find like-minded people only by showing our true colors. After being publicly shamed for his non-standard haircut at school, Varol did his best to blend in, changing his beliefs and preferences according to those he talked to. Soon, he became a master of networking, but it didn't bring him any satisfaction. It wasn't him who received approval, but a fake version of him. So, during one of his dates, he decided to be himself. When his date asked about his favorite color, he told the truth: purple. She was astounded. Her dream was to marry a man who preferred purple. That's when Varol finally found a sense of belonging, and soon that same woman became his wife. Originality consists of returning to the origin. Antoni Gaudí, Catalan architect. Thus, the journey to self-discovery starts when we peel away the masks we've adopted to conform to societal norms. We aren't equal to them, neither are any layers of our identity, like nationality, occupation, and ideals. Moreover, we are bigger than our beliefs. It may seem obvious, but many of us can recall how insulted we felt when someone questioned our principles, right? That's because we often mistakenly treat an assault on our assumptions as an attack on ourselves. If we don't separate ourselves from all mentioned labels, we'll be like the blind men in the fable who each touched a different part of an elephant and then disputed its true nature. Only by integrating all perspectives can we perceive the complete picture. Like the guys from the tale, we all have blind spots which can be discovered solely through communication. Sometimes, due to differences in opinions, we might disagree. Yet, if we do it constructively, start answering only when we correctly rephrase what others say to ensure mutual understanding, we will win any case. Even if we lose the argument, we will obtain rights to fuel our development. Key point 3. How to distill our core principles. We can see our aspirations more clearly when we rise above our beliefs, habits, and other labels. The typical next step is to find someone who has already succeeded in this sphere and do the same. However, imitation poses several risks. Limiting our potential. Attending an audition in the 1950s, Johnny Cash selected a popular gospel song. Yet, as soon as he started to sing, the record label owner stopped him. He had heard it many times. Being forced to leave a well-known path, Cash chose the hit that reflected his personality. He impressed others so much that they immediately offered him a contract. Being honest with ourselves is the most reliable compass to reach our destinations. Reducing control over the situation. All who follow recipes while cooking know this risk. Often, however precisely we carry out all the steps, we don't reach the desired result. Why? We mindlessly repeat others' actions without realizing their purposes. For example, Julia Child became a famous chef by not sticking to recipes. She attended a renowned cooking school where she grasped the underlying rules behind main methods and reconfigured them into her masterpieces. The same holds for our lives. Instead of copying someone's actions, we should realize the mechanisms behind them. We can also apply this technique to our current jobs. If we excel in a specific activity but don't like it, we may deconstruct it and reassemble its parts into something new. For instance, suppose we're masters of organizing events but get tired of doing it. If we write down what this activity requires, like leadership, communication skills, and design thinking, we figure out quicker where else we can use this expertise. Our skills resemble Lego bricks, which we can combine in diverse ways depending on our goals. If our talents pull us in different directions, we should determine what constitutes our core. The inventors of the app Glitch did it perfectly. When they launched this multiplayer game in 2011, it flopped. But the chat, created for team members to communicate, proved helpful. So the developers turned it into a separate product, an app called Slack, and became billionaires. To work out our primary skills, we can ask ourselves the following. What helps us thrive in our current jobs? Which assignments are child's play? Key point 4. Fast track to finding your mission. Although the phrase, follow your passion, is meant to indicate our way forward, often it makes us even more confused. With so many opportunities around us, which one should we choose? What if we don't know what we want? We shouldn't be hard on ourselves. Indeed, movies and television series tell us stories about people who have known their passions almost since childhood. But reality is different. First, we seldom have a chance to explore our potential fully. Secondly, looking for an activity that will fuel us forever is often needless. We change, and so do our preferences. Interest is a spark that ignites our true aspirations. Thus, instead of worrying about not having dreams, we should follow our curiosity. It doesn't matter how strange or unreasonable our questions may seem to us. If they motivate us to get up in the morning, we should continue searching for answers. In case our interests are unclear, we can rely on our most honest indicators, bodily sensations. Let's track our flow and write down things that exhaust and boost our energy. Don't ask what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive, and go do that, because what the world needs is people who have come alive. Howard Thurman, American writer. At the same time, the most reliable way to find candidates for our dreams is by experimenting. Moreover, it's necessary even when we're sure about our aspirations. Why? Because the real world is often quite different from its representation in our minds. For example, hosting a podcast isn't all fun and games as some may depict, so we should discover its pitfalls before launching it. Firstly, we should talk to people who enjoy it, and those who quit the idea. Secondly, We can create our first podcast using devices we already have to get the hang of it. Internships, trips, masterclasses, summer schools. There are numerous options for experimenting. During the trial period of our dream, we should ask ourselves some crucial questions. What do we want to check? Which criteria do we have for success and failure? When should we end testing? If doubts arise, we should remind ourselves that even a safe road can lead us to failure. So why don't we experiment to find the path that excites us? Key point 5. What can stimulate our creativity? Sometimes we feel stuck even doing the activity that inspires us. It's normal. We can't always be at the peak of our creativity. The following methods will help us get back on track faster. Playing. This is the option writers of the TV series The Office chose. Lacking ideas, they began to devise an Oscar-winning episode for another show. With new characters, settings, and total freedom, as it wasn't a real task but a game, they warmed up and returned to the office with insights. As they have crafted 200 episodes, we can be sure this method works. Its main advantage is lessening the pressure of expectations and duties. Hobbies are our R&D departments for talent. Diversifying. Switching from one activity to another may be an effective way to gain insights. Albrecht Dürer, for example, was interested in mathematics, while Charles Darwin scrutinized books on economics. Varol encourages us to try distinct leisure pursuits, since combining unrelated ideas for them ignites creativity. Moreover, giving something new a shot is vital for staying on the crest of a wave. Our world is highly dynamic, so excelling in something doesn't guarantee long-lasting success. For example, when Intel launched the first DRAM memory chip, it revolutionized the tech world and became a leading company. But soon, competitors caught up with it, gradually increasing their shares in this market. Intel had only two options: stick to DRAMs or focus on brand new devices, microprocessors. Choosing the latter, a path of innovation, they managed to maintain market leadership. The same holds true for our personal lives. Amelia Boone was one of the world's most accomplished obstacle course racing athletes, but she had to abandon the sport after a severe injury. A job switch would have been much more challenging for her if she didn't have experience in law. The latter became her safety net, and now she works as an Apple Incorporated attorney. Separating brainstorming and evaluation. Our inner critics have detectors for anything illogical, dismissing it as unimportant. It locks us in the self-made cage of known concepts and destroys many influential ideas that can break the mold. Harnessing self-evaluation, we give each notion a chance. Did you know? Scientific experiments proved that after watching a short, hilarious video, participants solved problems faster. Key point 6. Tips to work our way through mental blocks. Having discovered the right path, we can still hesitate to show our genius to others. Hundreds of what-if questions torture us, making us overthink every step. Let's shatter some of the most common beliefs that hinder our self-expression. Our ideas aren't new. This statement is a generalization, presuming that everyone has the same knowledge. Yet notions we consider obvious will be insights for others and vice versa. That's just one of the things that make life beautiful and communication so valuable. For example, let's recall the books we think are excellent. Their writers also likely doubted their ideas, but fortunately that doubt didn't stop them from writing. Additionally, our unique perspective will always enrich even well-known facts with new meanings. We may fail. Indeed, we will make mistakes, but this is the cost of chasing our dreams. Although staying in a comfort zone seems safer, it may lead to a more significant failure, wasting our potential. Besides, even the most successful people do poorly numerous times, but what counts is how quickly they regain composure and take the correct steps. We are awful critics of our own ideas. Ozan Varol became popular after posting a blog he considered terrible. We don't do enough. Nowadays, many programs collect quantitative data about our work, but we shouldn't overemphasize its importance. Let's imagine we're journalists or creative writers. While measurable outcomes like word count may provide some indicators of progress, they don't necessarily reflect the quality or significance of our work. So when we become stressed because we lag behind key performance indicators, let's pause and question whether they reflect our priorities. Our contribution is too small and pointless. We never know the total impact of our actions, and the story of Varol's grandfather illustrates this. In the 1940s, he was a poor teenager from a Turkish village who heard about a school that opened 50 kilometers from his home. He was determined to study there and become a teacher, but his shoes fell apart. How could he cover such distance barefoot? Luckily, one nurse noticed his persistence and gifted him hobnail boots. So he finished his studies and became a leader in his community, teaching thousands of children. The nurse's action fundamentally impacted numerous lives, but did she know it? She just made her contribution, and so should we. Key point 7. Attention management is a reliable shield for our genius. Once, Varol had a dream about the equation 0.7 times 0.3 equals 0.21. Although nothing was wrong with it, he wondered why the outcome of two numbers was less than any of them. Then he realized the case. Multiplicand and multiplier were fractions, but something about this calculation kept bugging him. Soon he realized that the same happens when we do a few assignments simultaneously. The results are worse than if we had done the tasks individually. That's because we use only a fraction of our capabilities. For example, let's recall the last time we listened to someone and checked our emails at the same time. None of these activities received our full attention, so we could easily make a mistake in our response, potentially causing trouble at work. Multitasking is one of the reasons why we exercise only some of our potential. Another is distractions. According to some estimates, we use social media almost 2.5 hours per day. If we spent this time reading, we could finish at least 118 books yearly. Impressive, right? Scrolling social media resembles playing slot machines. Let's stop waiting for the dopamine jackpot. Varol believes that to overcome our addiction to the digital world, we should understand what triggers it. Why do we continue checking our newsfeed when we must look through numerous boring posts before finding something interesting? Science explains, if social media always contained exciting tidbits, we would quickly become bored. But when it functions like roulette, the outcome is unknown, we become addicted. There are other tools to make content viral. Misinformation is one of them. For example, most of us have heard that we use only 10% of our brains. This statement is a myth, which society has repeated so often that it has started to resemble a scientific fact. The truth is, we rely on all percentages of our brains during the day. Whenever myths prompt us to follow the link and open a web page, we waste our attention. So, to lessen their impact, we should take all data with a pinch of salt. Searching for alternative views is an effective tool to do it. For instance, even if we read a scientific article, we can browse other publications that state the opposite. Moreover, we must always check the source and funding to detect vested interests. Did you know? On average, fake stories are retweeted 70% more often than their true versions. Conclusion. Busyness has recently become a synonym for success. We tend to fill every hour of our days because the more we do, the more valuable we feel. Yet overworking doesn't equal approaching our aims. It can be quite the opposite. Hiding from them. Bombarding ourselves with meetings, projects, and trips, we stop thinking about our callings and missions. Indeed, the path that aligns with our geniuses often seems uncertain. We've invested years in one field, and now what? Give up everything we've done? But no efforts are wasted. They just transform in shape. For example, Varol switched from a rocket scientist to a lawyer. Although these fields seem totally different, they have at least one aspect in common, which was crucial for him: principles. Instead of rules of the universe, he dived into societal norms. The transition wasn't easy, but this initial discomfort prevented him from a crisis arising when he would outgrow his occupation. Staying true to himself, he awakened his genius, and we can do the same. Each of us possesses a unique gift that needs developing. Let's listen to our inner voice and follow its hints. The world is eager to see our true colors. Try this. Make journaling a habit. Jot down your thoughts, emotions, and doubts that stop you from doing what you want. Write a text about yourself without using any labels, such as occupation or nationality. Focus on what stood the test of time, not new or popular, to build your project on a reliable foundation. Read more about media literacy to avoid believing in myths.